Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to be talking about someone that we haven't talked about in a long time. That person being Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann, the director of the much loved, much anticipated The Last of Us Part 2. The first part was obviously a joke. The Last of Us Part 2 is not a beloved game. It is, in fact, a very divisive game. Probably one of the most divisive games ever made. On one side, you have people who absolutely dislike this game. And of course, on the other side, you have people who actually like the game. And you know what? If they like the game, they have every right to like the game. But then, of course, you're going to have people in the middle who were, kind of indifferent to the game. They didn't like it. They didn't hate it. They just thought, you know what? I played it once. Don't really need to play it again. I don't really have any feeling to it. It was fine while I was playing it, but now that it's over, I think I'm okay. Like I'm just gonna move on. Though I feel like those are the three groups of people that could be associated with The Last of Us Part Two. Well, actually, there's probably one more, and that being the people who just never cared about The Last of Us at all, not even the first one. So there's that. Now, what happened exactly? Well, it seems like Neil Druckmann again, or Dr. Uckman, as he's apparently likes to be known as. And if you know what that is, you know. But if you don't know, I won't bother you with the details. Apparently, he decided to once again post something on Twitter that basically ended up screwing his own game. He ended up screwing his own game again. The first time he screwed his own game was when it was when we were in the lead up to the game, when people were still anticipated, still highly anticipating The Last of Us Part Two, because it's been 7 years since the first one came out, and a lot of people, including myself, who absolutely loved Last of Us Part One, were really looking forward to. But then what happened? What happened? Well, the leaks happened. The leaks happened. People saw the leaks, or at least the ones who wanted to see it, and found out that The Last of Us Part 2 was not going to be what we all expected it to be. Now, let me just clarify something when I say what we expected it to be. What we expected it to be was a good game that had a good story, which would be a story that is a worthy follow-up to The Last of Us. And that's not what we got. Instead, what we got is a story that makes absolutely no sense. A story that decides to shit all over the characters that you loved. A story that decides to basically tell anyone who was a fan of The Last of Us, screw you. Screw you, because we don't care about you. We don't care about these characters. We don't care about this world. We just wanted to push a message. Excuse me. That's what Neil Druckmann did. And then, of course, the leaks came out, and people, just like they always do, made videos talking about the leaks. Now, let me clarify. All they did was talk about them. They didn't go into details. All they did was discuss their thoughts about the leaks. They didn't show any footage. They didn't show any images. They didn't show nothing. And then what happened? Neil Druckmann, or Naughty Dog, through some company, I think it was Muso or something, whatever, decided to file false copyright strikes. They decided to false copyright strike channels who talked about the leaks, even though they had absolutely no basis for those copyright strikes. They had no evidence that they were breaking any copyright rules. All they did was file those copyright claims because they were discussing the game. Or at the very least, they were talking negatively about the game. That's the most important. That's the most important detail. They were talking negatively about the game. If you were discussing the leaks and you were saying, "Oh my God, guys, I'm not gonna say anything, but this is gonna be the absolute best game ever." I seriously, I cannot wait until this game comes out. Now I know I just got spoiled, but I cannot wait till this game comes out. You guys are gonna love it. I guarantee you, they would have done absolutely nothing. But because people were criticizing what they heard, which, by the way, if Neil Druckmann had just left it alone, if he had just left it alone, it would have been something that would have just been here one day and then gone the next. But what did he do? He decided to shine a light on it to the point where now everyone knows about it. Even gamers who weren't even aware of The Last of Us Part 2 because, they didn't care, all of a sudden started to know about The Last of Us Part 2. But more importantly, they started to know what Naughty Dog is doing. And they did not like what Naughty Dog is doing, which is why so many gamers are saying, you know what? I don't want to associate myself with Naughty Dog anymore because I do not like what they're doing. I didn't like how they targeted gamers just because they were criticizing their games. And even though those criticisms were actually, well thought out criticisms, they were valid criticisms. But it doesn't matter. You were being critical of our game, and we just can't have that. So people said, you know what? I don't want anything to do. I don't want anything to do with Naughty Dog anymore. And now what happens? How did he end up screwing Naughty Dog again? Well, as I'm sure you all know, or in case you don't know, the Game Awards are coming up. It's supposed to be in like 3 days. In 3 days, we're going to have the Game Awards. Now, the Game Awards, of course, decided to put up a poll that says in order for Game of the Year, it's going to be Player's Choice. Now, what happened? This was a tweet posted by Jeff Keighley, which we'll get to in a second. This is the tweet that was posted by Jeff Keighley. And it says right here, The Last of Us Part 2 is leading at 43%. You have Ghost of Tsushima at 31%, Hades at 14%, Doom Eternal 9%, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales 4%. I don't know why Miles Morales is there. I mean, it's a game that just got released. I didn't think it would be eligible for Game of the Year. Although I don't know why Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't there. I mean, I think it should be there. I know there are people disappointed by it, but I think it should be one of the top 5. I mean, in my opinion, just whatever. Okay, that's neither here nor there. So you can see Last of Us Part 2 is leading. Now, if Neil Druckmann had just decided to stay quiet and not say anything, or maybe he could just say, hey, thank you to all the people who voted for Last of Us Part 2. We highly appreciate your support. That would be understandable. It would be understandable if a creator would post a tweet saying thank you for the support shown for his product. Absolutely understandable. But what did Neil Druckmann choose to do? He posted this, which, by the way, he did delete. He did delete this post. That's why I'm going to Bounding into Comments, because it's not available on his Twitter account anymore. The Last of Us fans, activate. As a bonus for every vote you cast for The Last of Us Part 2, a hater loses their caps lock. This is the part that pissed people off. He basically just said that anyone who even remotely did not like The Last of Us Part 2 is basically a hater. It doesn't matter if you have any valid criticisms of the game, you are a hater. Now, this again Neil Druckmann basically did exactly what he did in the lead up to the game. He shone a light on this situation, because I am willing to bet most people did not even care about the Game Awards. They did not care enough to go out and vote for anything. And if he had just stayed quiet, then Last of Us Part 2 probably would have won. Excuse me for a sec. I started bringing water to these because my throat tends to get dry in these videos if you're a follower of mine. Anyway, Last of Us 2 probably would have won, but ever since he posted this, let's take a look at what happened. Let's just head up in the timeline for just a little bit. Look at what happened. Or no, not this. This one. This first. Look at what happens. The Last of Us Part 2 at 39%, and look at this. Ghost of Tsushima is getting closer and closer and closer to The Last of Us Part 2. And then if you look at this. And then this happened later. The Last of Us Part 2 is at 38%. Ghost of Tsushima is at 37%. There's only a 1% difference between Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. This is what happened ever since he posted this. Now, he, of course, like I said, deleted this and instead decided to post this. My tweet was meant as a joke, but it just added fuel to the fire and made it seem like I'm against criticism. I should be better than that. Taking it down, my bad. Let's just pause for a second. Let's just take a look at this. It seems like I'm against criticism. Neil, you are against criticism. You definitely are against criticism. Sorry about that. Like I said, you chose to file false copyright strikes against anyone who said anything negative about your game based on the leaks, even though they didn't show any footage, they didn't show any images, nothing. All they did was discuss, which a person has every right to do. Just like you do, Neil. You have a right to voice your opinion just like everyone else. And instead you chose to file false copyright strikes because people are saying mean things about my game. And look, even Geeky Pixie says right here, was copyrighting channels that were just showing memes of a game that were a good choice. If you enjoyed this game, by all means, good on you. I personally enjoyed the first one more in story-wise than the second one. The visuals, yes, are top-notch, which no one could argue. However, the mechanics were rather lacking. Versatility for me, that is. The voice actors nailed their roles 100%. I just feel Final Fantasy VII Remake for me was a for me personally, a more well-written story. For that's my opinion. The Last of Us 2 to me is an average game. Again, the visuals were breathtaking. So a pretty like you already got a pretty average review from Geeky Pixie right there. She says the good things about she says the things she liked about the game and the things that she did not like about the game. Seems like a pretty fair criticism, but of course, this is the type of criticism that Neil Druckmann didn't like because it's overall negative about, or not overall negative because she still said something negative about the game, and that's something that Neil Druckmann just does not like, and he's trying to pass it off as if he's haha guys JK, like listen, I'm okay with criticism. No, you're not, Neil. We're not dumb. We're not dumb. And the only reason why he posted this is again because he started seeing this, because he realized he effed up and he decided to post this, delete this in order to try and get people back. I'm sorry, Neil, but it's not going to work. It's too late. It's too late. It's just not going to happen. Now, what happened since? What happened since as I'm recording this video? Well, if we go over to the website that they link for the Game Awards, look at this. Which, by the way, I think the game that's it. The Game Awards or the voting for Game of the Year, the polls are closed. People have spoken. Ghost of Tsushima is the clear winner, leading at 47% of the votes. Last of Us Part 2 is only at 32%, and then Hades, Doom Eternal, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Ghost of Tsushima has easily taken over. Ever since Neil decided to post this, he ended up screwing himself. And you know what? I do not feel sorry for him in the least, because this guy has taken every chance he can to attack anyone who said anything even remotely negative about his game, even though they were all valid. Like, for example, the story just made no sense. The characters weren't even acting like themselves. I'm talking about the characters that we know from the first game. And the new characters are just terrible. They're one-dimensional. They're one-note. And overall, they're just unlikable characters. I'm sorry, but it's just true. They are unlikable characters. You did not give us any reason to like these characters. And yet you're, for some reason, confused why no one is talking favorably about Abby. I mean, seriously, like, I don't think I've seen any person who likes The Last of Us Part 2 say anything even remotely nice about Abby or any of the new characters. They just, like Neil Druckmann, they attack anyone who says anything even remotely negative about the game, even though what they say actually does make sense. Terrible story, terrible characters, boring game that has a boring, miserable ending. All right, that's it. That's all I have to say on this. Guys, thank you so much for listening. As always, if you like this video and if you want to show your support, please consider clicking on the like button, share the video, and consider subscribing. And of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for listening again. Remember to stay safe and take care of yourselves, and please join me for the next video. Bye for now.